The King of Fighters series is one of the longest running and most beloved franchises in fighting game history. With each new installment, SNK has introduced fresh characters, complex rivalries, and engaging story arcs. In 2016, KoF 14 marked the start of a new chapter, the Verse Saga. But years later, many fans are asking, what exactly happened to this ambitious storyline? Well fam, we're about to dive into what really happened to the King of Fighters' latest and seemingly abrupt running, Verse Saga. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, as we go back to the very beginning of what happened to KoF's Verse Saga. Let's rewind to the beginning. KoF 14 introduced Verse as the main boss, a mysterious antagonist linked to the fabric of time and death itself. Unlike earlier villains, Verse wasn't just a threat to the present. He disrupted reality by releasing the souls of defeated warriors, setting the stage for the return of many fan-favorite characters. These resurrections rekindled old alliances and rivalries, hinting at a much grander plan. This setup had players on the edge of their seats. Would Verse become the next major villain? Would we see an epic confrontation with other powerful entities from KoF lore, like OROCHI or those from the past? The community had high hopes for a narrative that could tie together decades of lore and maybe even resolve long-standing mysteries. When King of Fighters made a comeback after KoF 13's events, 6 years before the new saga was born, SNK was coming into a gaming scene that had new console character graphics. They also had the arduous task of introducing new characters like ZARINA, Luong, Nelson, Zandu, Najd, NAKARURU, Muimi, etc. DLC characters were also introduced from SNK fighting game titles like Samurai Showdown, and bringing back Chang Ko-han and Choi Bongye, and reshuffling some characters with new entries to form new teams. Whilst this was a very surprising move by SNK and the variety of old and new characters, the newly introduced saga was a brave move. The game's tournament organizer, Antonov, was revealed, but a deadlier antagonist was unveiled in Verse. Verse, who was created as a time remnant, created from Ash Crimson's events in the last King of Fighters tournament that had the souls of the SNK characters that had died in previous tie-in events in the KoF SNK fighting game storylines. At the end of King of Fighters 14, as Verse was defeated, lingering stories were about to be carried over to the next KoF game. When KoF 15 was eventually released, anticipation was sky high. The game's marketing promised the continuation of the Verse saga. Early trailers and story teasers hinted at continued chaos, focusing on characters like Shunhei, Ayla, and the reformation of traditional teams. KoF 15's DLC characters were also teased, like the returning Mature and Vice coming back. The awakened Orochi team, who are evil counterparts of Yashiro, Shermie, and Chris, were also revealed as DLCs, and were shown to have a plan to awaken Orochi at the Order of Gaunitz. As intertwining stories were the main focus of KoF 15, the climax of KoF 14 left us with more questions than answers, especially about the true nature and purpose of Verse. However, as fans played through KoF 15 story mode, a different picture began to emerge. While the game included new antagonists and continued the theme of supernatural chaos, the story shifted away from Verse as the central villain. Instead, the plot focused on Rewrote, a distorted new foe who represented the lingering after effects of Verse's defeat rather than the being himself. The mysterious entity, known as Otoma Raga, was also introduced, grabbing the spotlight in ways that left fans divided. So, what happened? In truth, the Verse saga as envisioned after KoF 14 did not fully take shape. Rather than building Verse into an overarching nemesis like Rugal or Orochi, SNK seemed to pivot. Multiple story threads were introduced, with emphasis placed on Shune's mysterious power and Otoma Raga's enigmatic threat. This shift left some fans feeling as if the original verse plotline was sidelined, its potential only partially realized. There are a few possible reasons for this change. First, SNK may have wanted to keep the storyline fresh by introducing new concepts and antagonists. The other reason could be player feedback. Whilst Verse's initial appearance created some excitement, many found the character himself lacking in personality and backstory compared to earlier KoF bosses. Plus, with the return of classic characters, the development team had to balance nostalgia with new ideas. This tug of war may have led to the scattered feel of the Versus Saga progression. It's also worth noting that fighting game storylines often evolve with player interest and industry trends. As crossovers, esports, and downloadable content reshape the genre, narrative arcs can shift in unexpected ways. In KoF's case, the Verse Saga opened doors for character comebacks and new interpretations, but left some with plot threads hanging. So, where does this leave the future of KoF stories? Whilst the Verse Saga as originally imagined may never reach the same heights as the Orochi Saga or the Nest arc, its legacy lives on. The burst of returning faces, the focus on new heroes, and the ongoing mystery behind the supernatural threats continue to drive the narrative forward. With rumors swirling about King of Fighters 16 and beyond, SNK has plenty of opportunities to revisit business and answer long-standing questions and surprise us yet again. In summary, the Verse Saga began with bold intentions, aiming to shake up the KoF universe and lay the groundwork for epic showdowns. But as the story unfolded, SNK shifted gears, exploring new villains and directions whilst leaving the ultimate fate of Verse and his influence up in the air. While some fans remain unsatisfied, others see it as a sign that the series can adapt and evolve. One thing's for sure though, the King of Fighters story is far from over, and there's still plenty to look forward to in the tournament's next chapter. So fam, what are your thoughts on how abruptly SNK ended the Verse Saga? Do you think that SNK did a good or bad move? And do y'all think that there will be a KoF 16 in the works? And do y'all think that it will continue the Verse Saga? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on the socials fam and get geeky with me. Also be a part of the YouTube channel. Find the notification bell and click on it to find out when I post next. So, that is it on the review of what happened to KoF's Verse Saga and its future in direction. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some King of Fighters. I'll check you guys on the next one. Away!